Hey Puzzle Buddies, welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to do a challenge that I saw on Speed Puzzle Pals a few weeks ago. They had the challenge where you had to complete the puzzle like one horizontal row at a time, and I thought that would be interesting. And I didn't have the puzzle that they used specifically in the challenge. It was like it was a Ravensburger with like an ocean and a mountain and the sky or something. I don't have that puzzle, but I do have another one that I thought would be a good one to go ahead and give this a try with. So that's what we're doing this week. And the puzzle that I'm doing this with is a white mountain. This one is called Travel the World, and the artist is Louis T. Johnson. And I thought the image looked pretty cool, and it has very like distinct rows. So I thought that this would be a good one to do a challenge that was like one row at a time. So yeah, this is one that I got like secondhand or third or fourth, who knows. But I got this one at the puzzle swap table at Nationals last month, and I was super excited when I saw it because I've never done a white mountain, and I know that people who like white mountain puzzles, they love white mountain puzzles. But I pulled out the pieces, I did my full flip, and then I decided to start at the bottom row and then work my way up versus going from the top down. It just made sense at the time. And so I was pulling out the border and kind of separating them so that way I could find them more easily. Because with the challenge, you really are supposed to go just one row at a time. So I was making sure not to put any pieces actually together, even if I saw that they kind of went together. But I did kind of like separate things and group them as I was going, just to make things a little bit easier later on. So I started with that bottom border, and it took me a little bit. The border does have this like black and red lines going around it, so that made it easier to pick out the pieces. I did that bottom border and I found all the pieces, but there was one that I just like could not find at the time. I don't know. And then I moved on to like that next row up, and I was realizing that this was a bit harder than I thought it was going to be. Going into this, I kind of had in my mind, okay, this is a 300 piece puzzle, and I figured like 300 pieces by itself should take what, like 45 minutes. And then with the challenge, I was like, okay, maybe it would take me like an hour, and plus it's random cut. So I was really like, okay, maybe like an hour will be my goal. However, you can see here I'm like 30 minutes in, and I've got like 3 rows done. So maybe an hour isn't quite realistic here. And I don't know what was happening. I had all the pieces laid out, but I just felt like overwhelmed, like there was too much happening. It was too cluttered. So I ended up putting most of the pieces back into the box lid. And I kind of figured, okay, once I have those out the way, and as I was going, I was trying to like find the pieces I was looking for. But something about going just one row at a time was really, it was a struggle for me, guys. I don't know. I was kind of making it through the rows, and I was doing pretty good not to move on to the next row until I had that row that I was working on at least mostly done. But it was taking me a very long time, and I'm honestly not entirely sure why, other than it was just hard. I'm used to just kind of like going based off of what I see just randomly. Like, so if I see a bunch of purple pieces, I'll just grab the purple pieces and I'll do all those. Or if I see a bunch of blues, I'll do the blue pieces. But having to go just one row at a time and only kind of not looking for like one object, looking for a row, I don't know, it was hard. Like I kind of mentioned, I wasn't like sorting, but I was kind of grouping pieces together as I started to find them. So once I did find a bunch of pieces that belonged to like one poster, I did kind of put them in a pile, but I didn't put any together, like I said, because I wanted to stick as true to the challenge as I could. But y'all, I had to give up. Not give up. I didn't give up, but I had to make some adjustments at some point because like here we're at like basically the hour mark, and I'm maybe like a third of the way. I was like a third of the way through the puzzle. So around here is where I just kind of had to make some adjustments to the challenge. So I was still trying to stay true to the fact of like moving up the puzzle, but I did kind of give up on going like one row at a time. I did make sure that I was only putting pieces that like attached to the big puzzle, like I wasn't doing little separate islands or anything like that. But that one row at a time thing, it just was not working for me in my brain. It just wasn't quite computing. And if I had gone one row at a time, I think it would have taken me honestly like 3 hours or something because it was taking me forever. But once I started going just based off of making sure that the pieces connected to the puzzle and worked my way up versus going a row at a time, I was making a lot more progress a lot more quickly. And so I started feeling a little bit better because at first I was like, this, this is terrible. I felt like this was going not very well. And I had a final time for this 300 piece puzzle, which we're not going to talk about it. But my final time for this one was 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 40 seconds. So not not what you would expect for a 300 count, but this was random cut and there was a challenge involved. So I was trying to give myself a little bit of grace with that. But at the same time, I like could not rest with that being my final time. So I actually came back and speed puzzled it again the next night, but just without the challenge. So I dumped all the pieces out, but I realized as I was going that I didn't really mix up the pieces very well when I put them back in the bag. So I paused for a second, gave the pieces a good mix, and then I went back to speed puzzling. And this time things went so much smoother. Of course, this was my second time doing the puzzle and I'd done it just the night before. So it was still kind of like fresh in my mind as far as like where the pieces go and how the image works. But also not doing that challenge made it so much easier. And so I moved through this one pretty smoothly. I was pretty happy with it. The border came together pretty easily, even though I wasn't really trying to do the border first. I think it just kind of happened. But there were some pieces that like I picked out, but I couldn't quite figure out where they went. And so rather than being stuck on it, I just moved on with the rest of it because I kind of already knew that there were certain patterns that were easy to pick out, certain posters that were easy to put together. So I went with just whatever my mind was drawn to and just went from there. And of course, this time it was much quicker than that first time yesterday. And so my final time for this one was 42 minutes flat, which I think is much more acceptable than that hour and a half that I did the day before. Now that I had a time that wasn't quite so embarrassing, I finally felt like satisfied enough to leave the puzzle alone. And honestly, I am glad that I did it twice. I really kind of enjoyed working with this one. This was a 300 piece, was also their like extra large pieces. So some of those pieces they were chunky, and y'all know I love a good chunky piece. The pieces were not thin, not thick. They were a good like kind of in between. They were a bit shiny, which I didn't love, but honestly, that's kind of the only con I had. Other than actually, I will admit, I do okay. So I do usually take the puzzles off of whatever table I'm working on and put them on the floor so I can take pictures for Instagram. But this puzzle, I literally could not move. There was no hold on this one. So yeah, the pieces being shiny and then the hold was non-existent, let's be honest. But that's really the only cons that I had. I really enjoyed working with this one, which is surprising because y'all know I do not like random cut puzzles, but this one wasn't so bad. And the print on the pieces looked nice. Honestly, it was a pretty good experience overall. And I went ahead and put my time into myspeedpuzzling.com, and my rank is 23 out of 37, which means I am not last or second to last, which y'all know I usually am on the leaderboards. So I'm pretty happy with it. So that's that for this week. As I was working on this, I realized I need to travel more because I've been to just two of the places on this image. I went to Jamaica for our honeymoon a few years ago, and then we went to Vegas a few years after that. Other than that, I haven't been anywhere. I haven't really been many places. So y'all let me know if you've been to any of the places here on this puzzle. Also let me know down in the comments what puzzle you're working on right now. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you want to see more. And I'll see you in my next video.